Hello, a very good evening to all. Today we are going to discuss this particular question. Some people think that companies and private individuals should pay to clean up pollution that they produce, not the government. To what extent do you agree or disagree? It is argued by some that the companies and private individuals should pay, they have to pay to clean up the pollutions they produce. So if company is producing the waste materials, naturally it becomes the responsibility of the government to clean it. But you have to pay for that. Individuals, if they produce the waste, then governments will do that, but you have to pay the fee. Money should be paid to the government. So if it's not a free service, that it means that it is not a free service that the government should render. So government is already cleaning the public places, its own property, but it should also clean private properties, that's company premises, individual properties too. So naturally there would be an argument. So if the private properties of the private individuals are producing waste, and if the government is doing the cleaning, you have to pay a nominal fee. At the same time, if companies are producing the waste materials, yeah, government, you can rely on the government will dispose it, but you need to pay fee. Do you agree for the fee payment? Or do you think that it should be a free service by the government? Two questions. The first question is, do you think it should be a free service? Do you think it should be chargeable? The question is that government will do it, there is no problem. But when government does it, should it be chargeable or it should be free service? This is what I have paraphrased the question. So naturally, when you are producing enormous amount of waste which is not manageable by you, then you have to rely on a third person. So if you cannot dispose non-biodegradable waste, you cannot recycle it properly in your own circumstances, in your own environment, in your own premises, then what you have to do? You have to depend on someone else. Suppose if you are in a rural area and you have a lot of space, then you can incinerate the non-biodegradable waste. You can treat the biodegradable wastes and make it as a compost and use it for agriculture if you have enough space. And when you have a company, when a company means an industry or something like that, so if you have toxic waste materials, there may be solid or liquid waste materials there. And you will be in a particular area there, you won't be able to do that in a proper way. So you need to depend on someone for an efficient waste management. So in such cases, governments can intervene, but you have to pay for the government. Do you agree? Of course, the introduction is there. Let me see the introduction here. Pollution is one of the burning issues which many governments find it hard to encounter with. What is the purpose of this particular sentence? The purpose of this particular sentence is I am going to give way to the essay. It means the essay is to be introduced. I need a way to do that. What exactly I have to do there? Can I talk about waste? Can I talk about governments? Can I talk about individuals? What should I do? You can just rephrase the sentence. This sentence, what I said, this sentence can be rephrased. At the same time, we won't be getting the complete picture because we have a greater picture. What exactly the problem is there? The problem is pollution. We are trying to deal with the solution for the pollution. So pollution should be addressed first. What exactly is the problem? Pollution. So the core topic is addressed in the first sentence. Not always necessary. You can directly go with the topic. But here the core topic is addressed, and that is the purpose of the first sentence. Sentence number 1 is written there to address the core topic, to address the core issue. Finished. When this is the problem at this juncture, in order to assist the governments, it is said that companies and private individuals should pay to clear the waste they produce. So governments, it's the responsibility of each and every government to solve the problem of pollution. It's not the individual responsibility on a whole. If a place is polluted, normally if a person from outside come and visit your place, they will be blaming the government and not the individual who has disposed it. So you need to assist the government to clean up these things. So in order to assist the governments, it is said that the companies and private individuals should pay to clear the waste produce. So companies and private individuals should pay the waste they produce. Argument. It is said that there is some people in the question here. It is said that. Now, what is your opinion? What is your stand? That is the third sentence. My stand is, I feel this is a proactive step to fight pollution. Definitely, it is a proactive step. I completely have not agreed. I have completely not disagreed, but I have made my recommendation. Oh, it's a good idea. That's it. So my 3 sentences, my maximum sentence count here in an introduction is 3, and try to be always you try to make the word count less than 50 in an introduction. It should not be too big. It should be concise. The matter should be addressed well. The topic should be addressed well and should have a clear-cut thesis here. As per, this is an opinion question, a clear-cut thesis is needed. Okay, so my stand is clear. I feel that this is a good idea. Very simple sentence. Now we have to look at the paragraph number 1. So what is said in paragraph number 1? The first sentence of this paragraph. When the responsibility of the company is taken into account. So they are telling in the question two firms. One is individual, another is company. So we are going ahead with the company. If the responsibility of the company is taken into account, many companies produce large quantities of waste every day. It's not 1 kg or 2 kg waste they produce, not 10 kg. They are producing tons and tons of waste materials per day, most of the companies. And most of these are non-biodegradable, such as plastic. And harmful chemicals too. And this may be solid, liquid, or in gaseous form. So this is the matter. So we need to understand that the companies are not producing little bit of waste. They are producing huge amount of waste, and that too in various forms: solid waste, liquid waste, gaseous waste. Now the next. It's to be seen that most companies have weaker provisions for waste management, except to prevent the air pollution. It's to be seen, we can see that most companies, it means majority of the companies, have weaker provisions of waste management. There may be some companies who have good provisions for waste management, but most of the companies, they have not, except to prevent the air pollution. They have good ways to prevent air pollution. Situation number 2. First is that it produces large quantities of waste and in different form. Second is they have weaker provisions for waste disposal. In addition, these companies are not seen taking much interest in the area of waste disposal, as they are concentrated more on profit. One thing is understood that they don't have a strong provision for waste management. On top of that, they are not taking interest in waste management system because they are concentrated more on profit. So I have analyzed situation number 2, the vigor, the intensity of the problem. So the first problem is that it produced tons and tons of waste in different forms. Then they have weaker provisions for management of waste. On top of that, they are not taking any interest. So naturally, it's a rational thought that they should either find appropriate waste management options or to pay the government proportionally for the waste they produce. So this is the thing. What we have seen in the previous 3 sentences, based on these previous sentences, when we analyze these things, we can say that naturally it becomes a rational thought if governments are paid, or else they have to find appropriate measures to manage the waste. You have 2 options. Companies, you have 2 options. Number 1, you manage your own waste. Second, pay the government for the waste you produce proportionally. If you are producing 1 ton, pay that amount. 2 tons, pay that amount. That's what we have said in the first particular paragraph. The second particular paragraph is dealing with the individuals. Turning to the case of waste management of individuals, it can be seen that a sizable proportion of human population is concentrated in cities where they are found helpless. Waste management in case of individuals. Urban population, who are the most vulnerable group here. The worst affected group in case of waste. You can see waste disposal, huge leaps of waste there in specific areas of the cities. Cities are beautiful in some areas. On the other side, it is very ugly just because of the population, just because of the lack of waste disposal system, especially when it comes to individuals in big cities. They don't have an adequate facility to dispose their waste. They are finding themselves in a helpless condition. For them, the best option is that they have to seek help of the governing bodies and bear the expense of the proper disposal of waste. The only available option, the best option before them, if they find a problem, the only available option before them is give the responsibility to government, pay a nominal fee to the government, they will take care of it. For example, you can see here, many local bodies have government-aided volunteers whose service is paid. You have paid services. Many local bodies have this system. This is an example. And this is successful for the collection and segregation of waste from individual firms, from domestic waste from the households. Maybe daily or alternate days that the waste will be collected from each home. They collect and segregate. It's paid service. This initiative is seen as very successful, and in a great way, it reduces the incidence of throwing away litter in public places. Individuals, when they find difficulty in disposing the waste, naturally, they'll find alternate ways to dispose it. One method is that pack it and throw it somewhere. So these types of incidents can be reduced when governments are taking the waste management systems control for a nominal payment. Now we have the opposite side too. We have to see the opposite side too. Is there any criticism for this? Of course there is. I admit that when governments levy tax from both companies and individuals, like all the government services, waste management would be the state's responsibility. Naturally, it becomes the state's responsibility. It becomes the government's responsibility. Because individuals, you are paying the tax. You're paying house tax. You're paying tax for your products and services. The companies are paying corporate taxes, pollution taxes. All these taxes are there. If you are using a vehicle tax is there, road tax is there. The tax is levied. So why can't they do that? It's a rational thought. Because you are the one who is collecting tax periodically, then it becomes your responsibility naturally. However, when the amount of waste is more and when it is disposed irrationally, governments have to employ extra efforts to manage it. And this requires more finance. So when the amount of waste is more, yes, it's okay. We can collect the waste because we are taking the tax. But you are producing 10 tons of waste per day instead of 1 ton of waste. For this, we need to employ more effort. We need more employees there. We need more laborers to carry these waste from one place to another, segregate this and decompose it or treat it somewhere. We need more effort. So we need more money, more financial liabilities there for the government. If you are producing more and more waste, individuals and the companies are producing waste not in a rational way, irrational production of wastes. Then naturally governments have to pay extra for that. It requires more finance. So what you have to do is that you have to pay money. If it is okay, if it is proportional, if you are producing 1 ton per day, it's okay for a company. But you are producing 10, 50, 100 tons of waste per day because you are profit oriented. In case of individuals in cities, they are consumeristics. They are materialistics. They buy a lot of things. They have a lot of waste, electronic waste, non-biodegradable waste, food waste. A lot of things are there beyond your imaginations. 20 to 30 kg of waste per day for a 2-member family or a 3-member family in a city. Irrational. In that case, you have to pay it to the government. To conclude, though there are some criticisms when governments charge for waste management services from companies and individuals, I think its advantages outweigh its disadvantages. Though there are some criticisms, there are some opposing views. The way which governments collect the charge for the waste collection. Of course, there are criticisms. I think its advantages outweigh the disadvantages. The advantages are the waste management will be proper and efficient, and we have discussed in the first 2 paragraphs. The 3rd paragraph is a criticism. We have covered the body paragraph as a whole. So on a whole, we have discussed both sides. We more aligned to the way the governments have to levy some money for the waste disposal from companies and individuals. And that is the end of this particular essay from the very beginning till the end.